But a lot of like Vedic and Hindu traditions talk about technologies. They show them, they talk about them. And it's not only that area, but a lot of others. I'll give you an example. The story of Viracocha out of South America. He is told to have arrived in the shores with a group, and they initially were not receptive to him. And so it's described very well that he simply did a magic trick for them, like actually moved something or created something out of thin air. That's how it's described. And so when they saw that, they bowed down and said, like, we'll follow you. And that same story is echoed in other places too. I'm sure you know, in the Aztec realm, it was Quetzalcoatl was their dragon.
This is
god.
Prometheus. This is Enki. Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. And in the Maya, it's Kukulkan.
Right.
And then we see that same equivalent in other parts of the world, like Thoth in Egypt and Hermes in Greece.
Right.
And what it all comes back to is they all are described as being magic. All of them. Every single one of them is described as being magic and being able to create and demonstrate things in front. And then the people followed and they taught them. They taught them everything. And then they left. This is the interesting thing. It's described as them creating places and then leaving.
Right.
And then leaving the people that are there to be the caretakers of them. But the people that were caretakers often, they succumb to violence and ways that it wasn't never meant to be. That's why the Maya and the Aztec were so violent, because it was never intended like that. And originally they went through periods of climate disruptions with crops and things, and they did blood sacrifice and things like that. But the point I'm trying to make is that a lot of those ancient cultures never started that way. A lot of other cultures came later that were just shadows of their former self. You know, and it's sad that they're the ones that are being given credit for such amazing things, and they're not the ones who, you know, really built any of them.
Right.
But that's where we are now, is separating what is just more primitive later cultures that get all this credit, and then showing where it should appropriately be, which is basically like a lost chapter, that no one was really able to do what they did after ever.
What do you think? Do you think the archetype of Quetzalcoatl and Prometheus and Enki are something real?
Yes.
Like something physical?
So that,
and if so,
that opens up like a huge thing.
What do you think they were?
Okay. So that is a really, really important and really difficult question to answer, especially for people that haven't studied it and actually read tablets themselves, because it sounds, you know, like too fantastic when you describe it. Now, most people in my fields will credit everything with these lost civilizations to aliens. Most of them do. I do not. I don't think what we're thinking about is an alien in the conventional sense.
Right.
Okay.
I agree with you.
So if you take all of the traditions, if you take all of the ancient teachings, if you take Hermeticism, the Vedic cultures, you take the Mayan stuff, the Egyptian stuff, the Mesopotamian stuff, especially the Mesopotamian stuff, take all of them, take every reference to these gods, these Anuna, every single one around the world, they all like say the same thing. All of them do, especially the tablets. I counted one time how many times the Anuna are mentioned in different tablets. I have 12 different tablets that they're talked about. So their original name is not the Anunnaki. Their original name is the Anuna. That's the Sumerian term that was the pantheon of gods that were associated with the Sumerian civilization. They describe them as being the origins of everything. That humanity, about the first cities, about civilization itself, they say in the tablets that it came from them, that it was all lowered to them and in very specific places that it was created, and how we are very much more like them than the other way around. That it was described in the tablets that they created us in the image of them, and that we are nothing like anything here at all. And that's why it's so confusing and we're so misguided, is that they just describe. Now, try to wrap your head around this. They're described as being something far more than like a group coming in a ship or something. They're not talked about that at all. They're talked about as being like omnipotent. They're talked about as being eternal, and that they are fractals of source. Okay? Hermeticism is my favorite one. The conversation with Poimander and Hermes is my favorite conversation regarding that, because he asks about the nature of everything, and like he's talking to Source, and Source is coming through as a dragon, which is really interesting because Quetzalcoatl and Kukulkan are both dragons.
Right.
So is our traditions
Feathered
in ancient
serpent.
China. They're feathered serpents, which is like a dragon. And so over and over again, we see that archetype being shown back. Now, why a dragon? Well, a dragon's just a metamorphosized serpent to its highest form. Simple as that. So the snake is really interesting.
The snake is the same. The snake is described in at least one section as being a feathered serpent.
Yeah, because they're the same thing. That's why the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve are tempted by a snake.
Right.
It's just Enki. That's why Enki became demonized by later corrupted religions that then turned him into like a demon.
Right.
That's where that whole thing came from. They inverted so many things. They inverted
so
all
many
kinds of things throughout history to make it the opposite. I'll give you an example. We know
and that's why they try to connect. That's why they connect Prometheus with the devil.
Okay, yeah, like let's pull this up really quick. It'll be super easy. Look up the caduceus or the rod of Asclepius, the medical symbol, right?
Yep.
Do we know what that is?
Yep. The snakes wrapping around each other.
If the snake is evil, why is on our most prominent area that has to do with health? Go to an image really quick.
Is the rod of Asclepius.
Okay, so there's two different symbols so people don't get confused. The caduceus is the one with the wings that is related back to Hermes. Okay, now that is two serpents intertwined around a spinal cord, our spinal cord. And the reason they show the wings is that they're showing that if we unlock our chakras of higher consciousness and energy, we basically unlock something. That's what they were leaving behind, is all of the knowledge. And the other version of this is called the rod of Asclepius. That's the one that became the medical symbol in the United States.
Right.
It's a slightly different version of that,
and
but
it's
similar.
also two snakes having sex.
Well, they're intertwined around each other.
That's what snakes do. And have you seen a video of snakes fornicating?
Yeah.
It's insane. Carl Ruck was talking about this on one of his videos. He's a classical scholar.
Also,
studies ancient Greek.
Two snakes would probably represent the divine masculine and feminine that exists in all of us. Okay? And those two snakes, when they dance and merge their energies in balance, they unlock the highest state we can. That's why every tradition and everything has been trying to tell us this, and we're not paying attention. And that's why those symbols, why would the snake be so evil and demonized if it's on two of our most prominent symbols that go all the way back? Because it was inverted. It was inverted from its opposite meaning. And it goes all the way back to the very beginning. The very beginning of a battle over controlling our mind, controlling our thoughts. And it goes all the way back to the very beginning of that. Again, we just talked about the story of Adam and Eve, right? In the garden where Enki, the snake, tempts Adam with the knowledge of good and evil, and then they get kicked out and they learn awareness and all this stuff, right?
Right.
Why would that be a bad thing?
Right.
Well, it's considered a bad thing because monotheistic religions ended up becoming very controlled. That it all started with the Council of Nicaea.
Yep.
You know about that. And so it was like a put together book with some stories that were older, that were rewritten, and then other things that were used as a form of manipulation, right? We know that Jesus said that the path of reaching him, the state that he's in, is just the kingdom of heaven is found within. He didn't tell you to follow a church or anything. And yet to this day, churches reorganize that message into him being a savior that we have to follow, but we don't become that. Like we can't be our own savior. They flipped it. They switched it around to what was never supposed to be all along. It would end up being a form of control.
Yes.
But in the original form, all these esoteric teachings and mysticism, their whole goal was to take the ancient knowledge of what once was and then incorporate it into us and then unlock basically like our God side. Like we become something far greater.
Right.
And that's what every ascended master throughout history, whether or not it's Krishna, Jesus, or Buddha, or any of them, have all been saying the exact same thing.
Right.
Every time. And yet we choose to not connect them and listen. And it's profound because we could be something far greater than we are. And we're just being held back by things that are, quite frankly, just like illusions.